The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at wrestlingwithjohners.com.
This is Brad Marcus, and welcome to another episode of Toilet Side Wrestling Talk. Today's guest hails from Earth, I think, and has worked for such promotions as Reality of Wrestling, Local Wrestling, RWR, Texas Wrestling League, Rise, New Texas Pro Wrestling, WCWA Wrestling, and I could go on, but I won't. Along the way, she shared the ring with the likes of Gigi Ray, Red Velvet, Izzy James, my mom's best friend Judy, Phoebe, Rachel Rose, and I could go on, but I won't. So let's welcome today's guest, someone who crawls better than I can walk. I give you the Insidious one, Sid Mars. Hey, Sid.
Hey.
You know what? Maybe I got too comfortable there. Can I call you Sid, or would you like ma'am?
You can call me Sid. Don't ever call me ma'am. That's one thing you cannot do.
Got it.
But you can call me Sid. Everyone can call me Sid.
When you were growing up, did you have to call like your parents ma'am and sir?
No, I actually call my parents by their first name.
Really? How long has that been going on? Since you started talking?
Well, I called them mom and dad for a little bit, but then I don't know when it started, honestly, and probably about elementary school. I just was real sassy, and I'll say their names. I'd call them Mark and Leanne right to their face.
Oh, really? Like, listen up, Mark.
Yeah.
I got some news for you, Mark.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, good. I have a quick question for you, and it's not a quick question. I don't know why I even just said that. Is any of your character, you may know, your character is super unique. Is any of that based on you? Like Mark's daughter?
Yeah, it is. I myself have a little bit of darkness to me.
Do you design your own gear?
I do. I make the design part of it. I don't make it myself. Like my first gear I had actually was stuff that I did put together myself, but my cool, really flashy gear, Leanne made it.
Really?
Yes.
Does she charge you anything? Not necessarily money. Is there any type of deal?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, my time. I think my time can be hard to get, so she charges a little bit of my time, and I don't mind. She's all right.
Fine. So when she's on the clock, you give her some time, but then you also treat her as a mother, or just Leanne at other times.
She's just Leanne. She's a great mother, and she is extremely talented. She made my wedding dress even. So
really?
Yes.
How long does it take to make a wedding dress?
It took her
one person.
6 months. It took her 6 months because it was all. I mean, she's not a professional. She loves to do it, but it's not like she was out here getting paid to make dresses for people. And this is something she really wanted to do because her mother, my grandmother, had some to do with her wedding dress. So she wanted to make mine, and she did a great job. People were extremely impressed.
At what point did she show it to you for the first time? Like, did you see it all along the way, or did she make it and then?
All along the way, because it's couture. So couture is like handmade. So she's not using She uses a little bit of machine here and there, but she made it herself and had to fit every piece of it to my body. So I was there for the whole process. I did a lot of standing, and I don't stand still very well. And I got poked a lot.
Oh, geez. But was it exciting at the same time?
Yeah, of course it was. It was really, it was honestly fascinating and amazing to watch her make art on me while I stood there.
Yeah, totally sculpting you.
Exactly.
Did you have any color in the dress, or was it just white?
I had color. It was mauve, so it was kind of a dusty pink. I did not have any white.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, that seems like that fits. Did you have you ever gone out like to dinner or to the gas station or the bank in your gear?
I have been in sticky situations where I have been ordering food out and about. I get really, you know what I love? I love October, because in October no one looks at me funny.
Yeah, totally.
But I've had some weird reactions. I think the worst thing is like sometimes after a show, I'm going really fast, can't wash all the black paint off my arms, and here I am at the driveway ready to order a cheeseburger. And here I put my hand out, and the person, they don't want my money anymore. And
yeah, totally.
They're really skeptical of whether my intentions are good.
Oh, I should start adopting that practice, because I get no respect where I live. Do you do you how do I put this? I don't know how to put this. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Austin, Texas, actually.
Oh, and that's where the university is, right?
Actually, I'm in Houston, and that's, but you mean University of Texas? Yes, that is in Austin,
Texas. That's in Austin.
UT, yes.
Okay, so that's where you grew up?
Yeah.
And were your parents from that area?
No, my parents are not from that area. My parents are from Washington State. I was actually born in Vancouver, Washington.
Oh, really?
Yes, but I moved to Texas like right after I was born. We moved to Texas for my parents' work. So Austin, Texas. I haven't lived there in almost 6 years now, but that was my home.
And do your parents still live there?
No, we all live in Houston now.
Oh, so you all moved? And
yes.
Are there siblings?
I moved like later on in the game. My parents moved to Houston first, actually. And when I found out that Booker T's Reality of Wrestling was here, I relocated for that specifically.
Did your parents move to Houston hoping you wouldn't find out, and then you found out, and then you moved and realized?
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, your poor parents. They thought they were escaping.
Yeah.
Did you go to like did you have your high school years in Austin?
Yes, that is where I went to high school.
Okay. Was that a good experience, your high school years, when you look back?
You know, high school was interesting. I didn't go for the entire time. I actually graduated early because I wanted to get out so bad.
Yeah.
I was the president of orchestra.
Oh, interesting. I never would have guessed that.
Yeah. I play a mean cello.
Really? Could you still, if I presented you a cello right now, could you play it?
Yeah, not very well. I haven't touched a cello in a while. My main instrument is actually bass. So I love to play some funky bass lines. If you handed me a bass, I could play that for you. Cello, cool. I still remember a competition piece or two. I probably could pull out of somewhere.
Yeah, it's like if I gave you some basic like sheet music, you might be able to play us a tune. All right, yes. We'll do that on part 2.
Part 2.
What was your personality like? Is it like back then? Was it similar to what it is today, or how would your friends have described you?
I have been the same way my entire life. I have been told that I have always been extra. Is the word?
Okay.
Extra, but in a good way. I'm kind of unapologetically me. I'm one of those people who I can never tell a lie, my friends.
Yeah. Oh, I'm bad at it.
I'm terrible. I know. It's all right here, and then I just the person is like laughing by the end of it, and I'm like, but it's not. It's a lie.
Yeah, totally. It's the guilt that gets me. Like.
Something here just will not coordinate it. Like up here, the lie may be going and I'm ready for it, but this is never ready to tell the lie.
Yeah. Would people consider you goth?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Really? Now,
I would say alternative because I have my moments. I like colors too, but in middle school, I was hardline goth for sure.
Did that scare people off?
I think that because I'm very outgoing, it didn't.
Okay. It was just the look.
It was just my look. Yeah.
Were you in a group of friends who also, dressed similar or had the similar style? I was a nerd.
I hung out with the nerds. Those are my people.
I
played orchestra. I've been playing video games my whole life. That's like, as far as my mental health goes, that's a huge outlet for me is gaming. So
do you still play?
Oh, absolutely.
What's in there right now?
So my recent things I've been playing, I've been kind of just cycling through Breath of the Wild still because there's just I want 100% it, man. I want to.
Totally.
So I'm just going and going and going. I'm gonna do all the side quests. Believe it or not, the newer downloadable content for Animal Crossing is great.
Oh, really?
There's that. Yeah. I'm not a PC gamer, but I do play. I've got PlayStation 5, I've got Xbox, I've got those things. But my main thing right now has been the Switch because it's so easy. I can travel with it. I'm trying to think. One of my favorite franchises is the Elder Scrolls, Oblivion, Morrowind, all that. My heart. That's some of my favorites.
And you said you have a significant other?
I do have a significant other.
Is he or she into gaming as well?
Oh yes, they are very into gaming.
Awesome. That's great. Oh, this is what I wanted to ask you about.
I got a PlayStation 5, but I really got me a PlayStation 5.
Yeah, totally. I got my son a Switch Lite for his birthday. It's at my bedside constantly. It's great. I don't even know if he remembers that we have it.
Good.
This is what I wanted to ask you before. Do people every single day ask you about your hair?
I get a lot of looks, and what I actually get is a lot of children who are just glued to me. Yeah, I've had a lot of different hair colors. In fact, when I had hair, you've seen some of the pictures of Insidious where the hair is red to black, and little girls thought I was Ariel. They literally thought I'm scary. I'm scarier.
Oh, wow.
But I got a lot of.
You're aware that people are looking at you, maybe not even children?
Yeah. You can tell when people are staring at your hair. And women are so complimentary. They're so sweet. I mean, I constantly get compliments on it. People don't look at me like, that chick's got green hair.
Yeah.
Your hair is amazing and it makes me feel really nice. So people have been nice to me about it. I don't know. There's someone somewhere who's like, that chick's got green hair, man.
Yeah. No, but it's a nice color green, actually. How often do you have to maintain that? How much time it goes into?
Once a month.
Weekly thing you gotta...
It's not a weekly thing. I go once a month and get it done, and it does take about half the day to get it done because I'm very, very blonde.
Leanne's her name, correct?
Huh?
Your mom? Your mom's Leanne?
Yes.
Does she do hair as well? Like when you said, I take it to this person.
Oh, no, actually, so there's a pro wrestler named Alexander Crowley, and his significant other, Lilith, does my hair.
Really?
Yes.
Did you say you're a blonde?
Yes. I'm a natural blonde.
Was Leanne like, how could you do this to this beautiful head of hair? Like when you did it for the first time?
She took me the first time I got my hair colored. That's actually a great story. I wanted it jet black. This is actually one of the first times Leanne betrayed me.
Oh, wow.
I mean, betrayed. This is a story of betrayal now.
Okay, yeah. Let's hear this.
So I wanted my hair black desperately. Went to get my hair colored. I'm sitting in the chair. I got my cape on. I look terrible because everyone looks terrible in those capes. My mom walks away when the guy goes to mix the color, and I think nothing of it. He does my hair, washes it out, blow dries me, and turns me around. And my hair is dark brown because she did not want me to have black hair.
Oh,
and
God.
that's drove a very big shift between the two of us for a while.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I
that's
don't think I
crimping your
forgave her.
style, literally.
Yeah, I don't think I forgave her.
So did you guys ever get over it, or is this one of those things like I forgive you, but I'll never forget?
Exactly. I don't even know if I really forgive her, but I just moved on because it's Leanne, and I love
Yeah,
her.
it's you're right. It's Leanne.
Her.
Um, so when has at this point? So you're in high school. You graduate after what? Your junior year.
Mhm.
Okay. Up to that point, when did pro wrestling first make its appearance in your life?
Well, after that, I was not allowed to watch
Really?
wrestling growing up.
Were you a
It was
snob about
banned.
it?
It was banned in my house because my parents are both in the medical industry. And the second that we started to be like, oh, that's cool, let's try it, they went, no, because we don't want to go back to work.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah. So it wasn't until later in life. I will admit that I am, can't believe I'm saying this. I'm notorious for the first time that I was asked to go see wrestling saying the sentence, isn't that for people who like NASCAR? And yes, it is. And NASCAR's not that bad either. But I have to live with that statement that I made at
Yeah.
21 years old.
Well, it's got some truth in it, you know, like,
But there's
but
nothing
like you
wrong with
said, there's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. So I was 21 when I went to my first independent wrestling show, and that was an Inspire Pro show in Austin, Texas, that had like Keith Lee on it, Matt Palmer, Gregory James, who's now Izzy James.
Yeah,
I mean,
wow.
an amazing star-studded event, and all it took was one independent wrestling show for me to go, I love this. This is amazing. Now, I didn't decide right then and there I'm going to be a pro wrestler.
Okay.
But I knew I was a fan. I was absolutely 100% sold on it. I actually have a really big performance background. I grew up doing musicals and plays, one-act plays, doing theater and stuff. And so I also played music for many years of my life. So all of it together, once I saw the spectacle and saw people telling these stories while beating the shit out of each other, I was like, this is probably one of the coolest things to see in my entire life.
So did you up to that point before you went to that first show, did you know about like independent wrestling, or just like you've heard of WWE before?
I had only heard of what I knew about wrestling was Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, and John Cena. That's what I knew. I'll be
That's what
perfectly
you knew.
honest.
So you knew like
Stone
how much my mom knew.
Yeah, I will say though, even before I was a wrestling fan, I loved Stone Cold Steve Austin just for
Oh,
what
okay.
he is. So I didn't love
Yeah.
wrestling, but I loved that man, and I still love that man.
Did you have a so did you have a plan? Like, what was your plan then? What were you doing at the time? Were you working
Whenever I first went to
during the time you went to your first show?
Yeah, I was playing music professionally, actually. I was playing bass guitar in an all-women's cover band that played 48 weekends out of the year. I was
Oh my
constantly
God.
on stage. So I love to play music. I love to be on stage in general. So getting to see that, it really sparked something in me, and it became a new outlet that I enjoyed watching, of course. And I never thought for a second I was going to do it. It wasn't until 2 years later I watched my first Joshi women's wrestling matches, and after watching the Japanese women wrestle, that style of wrestling specifically, I went, I have to do this. This is my dream. Like I didn't ever think in a million years I would step in a ring, but then I saw them and I saw a different side of women, and I saw the strength that was just unparalleled, and it was beautiful. I cried, man. I freaking
Oh,
cried.
really?
It moved me to tears watching these powerful women go out there and have these bouts against each other, and at the end shake each other's hands and walk away, some bloodied, some black and blue.
Yeah.
It was art to me. It was awesome. So that was the thing that made me go, I got to start training.
And were Mark and Leanne on board with this plan?
Not at first necessarily. My significant other is a wrestler, so they knew what he did, and they thought that was cool. They didn't really want me doing it necessarily, but one of the things that Mark and Leanne know, you can't stop me.
Yeah,
If I
yeah.
want to do it, I'm going to put my brain to it and I'm going to do it. So, which is it's a good quality, but I
Yeah.
don't think this is where they wanted me channeling that. But
Hmm.
they love it now. I'll say they're
And
massive fans now.
they've come to your shows.
Yes, they come to as many as they can. They used to come to all
Oh,
of my
that's
music
awesome.
shows, so now they come to my wrestling shows.
What kind of music were you playing in the cover band?
We were basically, we were honestly just mostly hits, but we did a lot of 80s rock. So,
Oh, cool.
Van Halen, Guns N' Roses, Black Sabbath, kind of all the
Oh,
very good ones. Also, we did, Blondie, Bangles, all that kind of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Because we play weddings and corporate events. I mean, that's how you make good money in music. I'll be honest. Any person out there
Oh,
listening who's like, man, I just want to make money playing music. Well, you don't really play what you like. You play what other people like.
yeah. Oh, that's a really good point. Oh, that's good money too.
It
Um,
is.
okay. I want to become a pro wrestler. You're saying this. What's the first
Mhm.
step? What's the first thing you do?
Well, because my significant other is already wrestling, I was able
Hmm.
to kind of take my first steps with him. And I refer to myself as an orphan at the beginning of my time in wrestling because I didn't sign up at a specific school. I kind of went around with him. I got to
Uh-huh.
learn from there are so many schools in Texas, number one. Texas is just a
Yeah.
wealth of wrestling, as you know now.
Uh-huh.
It's especially booming now. So I got to train at Hybrid. There was a place in Odessa called OSW. I had trained a little bit there. I kind of got to go and touch all the different schools to see what it was about. I
Hmm.
ended up training for the longest at the beginning of my career at MPX in Dallas,
Okay.
Metroplex Wrestling. Um, but there was a moment that I found when I really found out Booker T had a school in Houston and my parents lived there. I said to myself, if I take this seriously and if this is what I want to do, I have to be there.
Yeah, yeah.
And so
So
I
you,
picked up and moved and went there, and the rest is history. No, I'm just kidding.
so what do you do? I mean, because that's a prestigious, wrestling school. Do you have to apply? Do you, like, what's the? How do you get into it?
So you do apply to get into reality wrestling. You can apply, and you do kind of go through a vetting process to get in. My husband was actually already working with them directly and on shows, so I was able to meet them through him and kind of get to feel the ring out, do some kind of have a match in front of Booker when I was really really bad. So that was
Yeah.
really fun.
Oh my God.
He's nice though. He was nice to me, even though I was absolutely horrible. He was super nice.
Were you able to even think about your match, like
No,
while in the match, knowing that
great.
Booker T is?
I love Harlem Heat. So when I first was like really watching wrestling, I fell in love
Uh,
with Harlem Heat and thought they were just the most badass tag team out there.
yeah,
So
yeah.
being just in the same room with him was a lot to
Oh
process.
yeah, totally.
So
Um,
no, I couldn't think straight at all.
and so they what they say, we'd like you to start training here, and is that in every day, Monday through Friday?
They are open Monday through Friday. You have the ability Monday through Friday to train at Booker T's. Absolutely. They keep the doors open we do promo classes, we do film study, we of course do in-ring work. We break down into basic, intermediate, and advanced courses. So
Hmm.
it has the reputation it has for a good reason.
Is it like a very well kept training center?
Absolutely.
It's
The
very
facility.
professional.
Yes, there's 3 rings. We've got room for everybody. Like it's got a full gym set up as well. Nice locker rooms. So yeah, it's a nice setup.
Oh, have you ever slept there?
I did not sleep there ever. No, I have not slept there. I've
But
taken a
if there
nap.
was oh, okay, I guess that would. Well, no, no,
Um,
natural disaster. You can't get home. Is there somewhere comfortable you can sleep there
oh yeah, I could sleep there if I needed
without
to.
like getting ringworm?
Yeah,
You're
no,
not
there's
laying on
no
a mat or
room
anything.
anywhere there.
Have you ever gotten ringworm in your career,
No,
wrestling career?
I have not. Thank
Nice.
goodness. I'm one of
Yeah.
those people like you wrestle and then you get clean as soon as
Y-
possible.
Can I ask a
And
question? And you might not want to answer this, and I hope it's not inappropriate. Is it weird the first time getting people's body sweat on you and touch?
yeah, it's
Okay,
gross.
I don't know if that's
But
like a bad question.
I'll say it's pretty gross. It can be pretty gross. You get used to it fast. I also
Okay.
did. Oh, here's another one for you. I did ballet for 12 years, and you do interact sometimes in touch in ballet, and you're sweaty then too.
Uh-huh.
So, and I mean, I dealt with a lot of sweat, but this is sweat real up close and personal. And when you first start to do it, you have to get used to it. But I think it's one of those things that when you are like training to become a pro wrestler, you love it so much and you're so excited to finally be doing it. It doesn't even matter. Like you don't think twice
Totally.
about how kind of gnarly it is.
Do you remember getting in the ring for the first time? Like getting into
Yeah,
a wrestling ring for the first time?
I do. I
How does that feel? Like from like someone who were a wrestling fan, obviously after, um, is it like surreal?
It is. It's totally surreal because first of all, you have an idea of what you think a wrestling ring is like.
Uh-huh.
Every person who watches thinks they know what it's like.
Sure.
Every person who has their first date training thinks they know the inner workings of a ring. You might have seen a diagram or think that you
Yeah.
understand, but it's not until you step foot in one that you really get what you're dealing with and what it is
Uh-huh.
really like. Also, different rings are different. That's all I'll say. Not every wrestling ring feels or is the same. So
Mhm.
I do vividly remember the first one that I stepped foot into, and it was a very large ring, so it was very intimidating. It was a 20 by 20 foot, like the big ones WWE
Oh wow.
uses. So it was very intimidating, and I remember going, "Yeah, this is not padded like I thought it was." I
What
definitely was
is,
one of those people who assumed that it was that the padding was like this thick.
yeah. What is it?
No,
It's like plywood?
it's boards. Yes, we have big boards, and then we're talking like level mat.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's like
So
that
you
carpet
know
that's
you're
basically
on
just
wood.
sprayed on.
You know you're on wood. Like when you're walking on, you know you're on
What was the thing that was hardest for you to pick up on it when you started training?
wood. Ooh. I'll say it actually took me a while to learn bumping, like back bumping specifically, which is
Hmm.
our most basic bump.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that was in the way I had to learn was I literally had to look at my husband and go, "Give me a clothesline, just do it." And he was like,
yeah.
"What do you mean? No, do it on the mat. Just do it on the mat." And I was like, "Trust me, I need the momentum.
Yeah.
Just give me a clothesline." And after he gave me a clothesline, now I could bump. That's all I needed was I needed to have somebody push me, and then I was able to do it myself. But
Wow.
I had about a week of trying to properly back bump where my neck was so unstable because I hadn't trained my neck. I didn't know
Yeah.
how strong I really needed my neck to be. Like, of course I know now.
Yeah.
And I was just it's like a freaking rag doll in there. I'd go to take my back, and my neck is just all over the place like a freaking newborn. So,
Totally.
so
Did
that was a learning curve there. But once I just let somebody give me a good takedown, it made sense.
so if you were to say get thrown out of, and I've asked people this before, thrown out of like a first floor window or maybe even a garden unit, would you be able to better? Would you be more prepared to take a landing from something like that than someone like me?
Absolutely, no question. Because I mean, I know exactly how to. If you get thrown over the top rope, like you got to
Yeah.
know how to hit and how to roll. It's very tactical,
Sure.
you
Hmm.
know. Yeah. So yes.
Did you have to tell your husband that you cheated on him to finally get him to do the clothesline?
No.
No, okay. You didn't have
I
to
just
make him angry.
I just looked at him and was like, "You got to do it, dude. You got to do it. I'm gonna have to take clotheslines, man. It's gonna happen. That's
Yeah.
a move I'm gonna have to take." And he was like, "I guess you're right."
It's for
So
the relationship, it could only
yeah,
improve the relationship.
exactly. Do you want
Dude,
me to be shitty? Like that's up
yeah,
to you,
totally,
your
totally.
reputation, not me.
You're married to that shitty wrestler.
Exactly.
Do, do you have a day job, a shoot job?
I
You don't
do
have to
have a
tell me
shoot
what it is.
job.
Do they
Yeah,
know that you're a wrestler?
they sure
There
do.
was no hiding that.
Well, I did hide it because obviously for a good while I was a masked wrestler until recently. I only just
Hmm.
took my mask off at the end of the year, obviously.
Hmm.
Um, the only reason they found out, I did tell them when I was getting interviewed because I wanted to be able to get my time off that I needed. And I'm not going to be the one who lies and then someone finds you on the internet and then you lose your job for lying. I can't lie. But what actually happened was I had my collarbone broken a second time, and it was while I was working there. So I had broken my collarbone earlier on in the year, but hadn't gotten this specific job yet. And then second broke it while I was in this position. And I had to take a month and a half or so off. I couldn't do my job. And everybody knew at that point. And then I got to find out that like everyone I work with is a pro wrestling fan. So it ended up
that's unique.
Yes. Well, I'm a tech support agent. I fix computers. So a lot of really cool nerds.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you are a big nerd. You fit in really well. Yeah. I mean, you seem like you can fit in a lot of different groups. But does being a pro wrestler, do you and your husband ever like go on vacation or, take 2 weeks off? Or, I mean, do you ever do that? No, it's always you've been working constantly.
It's the grind. Honestly, when you're an independent wrestler, if you want it, you have to spend all of your time doing it. And it's not just, it's the social media, it's the content creation. If anything, if we're going somewhere, it's probably because we're there to create content, which is kind of a downfall, I'll say, to it's so awesome to have a platform, to have fans, and to make people feel something. But there is a certain point in time where you sit back and you look at your life and you look at what you spend your time doing. And social media takes up a lot of your time. And
that's why I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Like, is there pressure to maintain like all these accounts, and like have up-to-date pictures and videos and all that stuff?
Yeah, it's probably the hardest part. I mean, the best part about being a wrestler is wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
The worst part about being a wrestler is social media presence for me. Now, I know that I have peers that would disagree and that absolutely love it and that love to stream and do all kinds of stuff. But for me, it's draining. It is very draining to try to keep up with all of it. I don't feel like I'm very good at social media, if I'm perfectly honest with you. So that's probably it too. Like I've just never been like, I'm very technically savvy, but something about the algorithm and I just doesn't
work. So do you remember, your first match, did you say, hey, I'm ready? Or did someone say you're ready for your first match?
They said I was ready. It was my husband
ready.
That I was ready.
And did you think you were?
I did think I was, I did think I was ready. And I think that I was prepared enough for that match. I mean, it was terrible like everybody else's first match was. But it was kind of cool because I got to have my first match in front of a crowd in Odessa that had seen me manage, like my first time managing ever, because I managed my husband for a while, was there. And they got to see me progress, like see my gear go from some really shady shit to like really slick, cool stuff, and see my character became itself there. So getting to have my first match there, I think one thing I'll say that doesn't happen to a lot of people is when you have your first match, you go out there usually to silence.
Yeah.
I expected that because I'm new and I didn't think anybody was going to think anything of it. And it was a very emotional moment. I came out there and people lost it. They couldn't believe that I was actually wrestling because they thought I was just a manager. None of them knew I was training to be a wrestler. So honestly, that pop is one of the bigger pops I've ever gotten. And every match after that was upsetting.
Oh, wait, it's going downhill?
Got the proper rookie treatment where people didn't know who the hell I was, which is how it's supposed to be. But it was special that my first match happened to be in front of a crowd that really liked what I had created because I worked so hard on Insidious.
Is it I guess awesome having like your husband as you can always have someone there you can always ask a question to that you can trust, that has your best has your best intentions in mind. Is that a plus in the industry?
Absolutely. I think it absolutely is. I think that a lot of ways that, being in a relationship with another wrestler might derail some people, but I haven't experienced that. I've been so fortunate. My significant other's been doing it for 11 years. He's extremely talented. He's a wealth of knowledge in every single aspect of wrestling. And I'm not just tooting his horn here because I'm his wife. I mean, he's great. My husband is Izzy James.
Wow.
So he's really, really, and he may not be signed right now to any major places. He's been on AEW. He's done WWE. He's done a lot of work everywhere. I mean, he's right now probably kind of on his climb. So proud of him. But everything I've learned, I feel like the real fundamentals that I've learned and the important stuff I learned from him and his mistakes. It's great.
And you guys
learned from his mistakes.
When you got married, had you had your first match or been in a ring yet?
Yes, actually, I did. And my second collarbone break was a week after we got married. I wrestled in London, came back, and had a match in the US. And I was given a bad German suplex and broke my collarbone.
Is that like is collarbone? Is it always susceptible now? Like once you break it to getting broken again?
So the deal is, I had a plate that was about this big, and when it broke right next to the plate. So that part was perfectly fine and intact. Now my plate is this big, and I have 15 screws, and it is indestructible. So that collarbone is fine. It's the other collarbone now that could break or snap. It takes 8 pounds of pressure to break a collarbone.
Because it's the softest bone in the body, right?
Yeah, something like that. It really takes a whole lot of nothing to break it. It's very pliable, and it's why we can, do all of this business. But snapping, I don't wish it on anybody, dude. I don't wish it on anybody. Not being able to lift your arm, not being able to clean yourself, shower, change your own shirt. That was, it was so humbling, and to go through it twice, and still come back from it. And that's another spot that having a husband in wrestling who understands the job is really, really nice, because I couldn't have done it alone. If I didn't have
like depressed,
I don't know what I'd do. Yeah, it totally affected. I will say that injuries affect wrestlers in a way that fans don't understand, I think. And they say a lot of really mean things, whenever somebody gets hurt. Like they'll they like to make their own stories up and this and that, or talk about how bad you are when you come back from your injury, or how you're just like, oh, you probably should have quit anyway. I've had a lot of mean things said to me and about me. And none of that hurts as bad as having to get back in the ring for the first time and being afraid, because there's fear there. And fear breaking is like, it's a huge part of wrestling. It's what you do when you first start. So when you do come back from an injury that happens to you in the ring, not just like, I hurt myself out while I was working out. But an injury that happens in front of a live audience. It's scary, and it does affect your psyche a little bit. And you got to re-break fears that were already well broken. You've got to adjust your move set, all kinds of things. So it can be a real confidence killer.
Yeah, I imagine it being so frustrating. Like, were you nervous once you got back in the ring to do, like, take a bump or get clotheslined, or or do you work with, say, your husband, who kind of eases you into getting back in there?
I did a lot of physical therapy. I chose to do sports medicine physical therapy both times. So basically I started at the base level of physical therapy to the point where in the therapy place that I was at, it's like a gym. I was doing rolls. They were watching me do rolls, watching me try to do different movements that I would do in a ring to make sure I was ready to actually do it. So I'm very fortunate to have some great PTs and orthopedic specialists who helped me along the way to get back in shape where I can do this again. That's the only reason I've been able to come back from 2 collarbone injuries, and I even have had a hamstring injury, is because I take my body seriously, and I take my body to a professional, which I think is another thing that a lot of wrestlers, we just want to keep going. We want to have another match. You just want to go. That nagging injury can end your career, and you've got to get taken care of.
So like it's like, did you ever get to the point where like, oh, this isn't working, I'm not coming back? Or I
No.
mean, was there ever, you never got down like that level?
I've had times where I was like, where people, when fans would say things, I go, well, maybe I should just quit. But never in my heart was I like, I'm gonna quit. It
Yeah,
never,
yeah,
I
yeah.
never did that to myself. There's plenty of moments where I was like, well, I guess everybody just thinks I should quit. But I myself never wanted to do that.
Okay, okay. Um, so is the like once you so you had your first match and there's nerves obviously. Does it get easier like even from the to the next match? Is it do you feel a little more comfortable in the ring?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It takes reps. It just takes it's practice, just like anything else is, like riding your bike. It takes reps.
Mhm.
I had an edge on everybody a little bit because I've been performing on stage since I was 2. So it's like
Yeah.
the people staring at me while I make a mistake doesn't faze me. I don't care. I've
Wow.
made my mistakes in front of crowds, but it hurts. It hurts me because I don't want to make mistakes. Like it hurts me, but I'm not necessarily hurt that it's happening. I don't panic and freak out there. Oh my God,
Yeah.
everyone just saw that. Everyone's seen me mess up a bass solo. People have seen me mess up my lines before in something.
Yeah.
So that part of it for me was always a little bit easier, but without a
Hmm.
doubt, the more reps you get, the less scary it gets going out there.
Well, it's an interesting way to look at it. Did any are you still in touch with anyone that you like grew up with or went to high school with?
Yeah, absolutely.
So would people be shocked to know that you're a pro wrestler?
They are. They are very, very
Oh,
confused because I hated John
confused. Oh, that's
Cena.
great.
I hated
But
John
that's what you
Cena so
want to be
much.
like.
It sounds so
You
mean
hate
to
his
say. I
what?
love John Cena now, but I hated John Cena so much. And there was like back when I was in high school, there was like this like number you could dial where it was like John Cena talking about SummerSlam pay-per-view and you're a patriot and this and that. And everyone would always like play it on speaker and all this stuff. And I thought it was so annoying. And I hated his theme music. So I was kind of known for being a hater, at least a little bit,
Oh, okay.
on John Cena specifically. But John Cena, if you're listening, I love you now. Is it okay? I don't know. I may
Yeah,
have just
he's
ruined my
probably
chances
listening.
of making friends with John Cena right here.
Yeah, he's most likely listening, and I'm sure he's compassionate, and you guys would have a beautiful friendship. I think it's probably just a matter of time. I
I
have a
think so.
question for you because I was never like this, but I wanted to be like this. When did you, this is a weird way to say, when did you stop caring? And I don't mean it like, I mean it more like you don't care like what your appearance is like when you were a kid. Like you knew what you liked to wear, what colors you like to wear, and didn't care. You were on stage performing in front of people, fine with that. When did you get that, or is that something you're just born with?
I would say probably something you're born with, but I think it has to do with your parents cultivating that in you. My parents were so
Yeah.
supportive of me, and whatever I wanted to do, whatever weird idea I had, it didn't matter what I wanted to do. It was that I wanted to do it. So as long as it wasn't putting myself in danger, Mark and Leanne are right there with the pom poms for me, cheering for me.
Yeah.
So I think if I didn't have parents that just were so damn supportive, I probably wouldn't be nearly as comfortable in my own skin or as like because I really don't care. I love I'll wear anything, I'll rock any hairstyle, any haircut,
Uh-huh.
whatever. But I've never felt self conscious. And like I said, I owe that to my parents for letting me be me and letting my freak flag fly.
Yeah, yeah. That oh God, that's you're really lucky. I mean, because people I've talked to, like their parents aren't as enthusiastic, as or and supportive. So that's amazing. Okay, I have a question for you.
Yes.
And the answer can't be your husband because that's just like assumed he would be part of it as well. If AEW or WWE came to you and said, "We'd like you to come work for us, and you can bring one of your peers. You don't have to tell me a name or anything. You don't have to tell me a name or anything. But do you have someone that you would like to that you would bring along with you?
Yes.
Okay, you
Absolutely.
don't have to say the name, but oh, that's great. Is it more than one person?
Oh yeah, I probably have at least 4 people that I would want to come right
Oh,
along with me
cool.
that I think could hang and that deserve their time in the sun.
Wow. Um, okay, so what's coming up next for you? Like, is it
Mhm.
hard to get yourself out there? You know
It
what I
can
mean?
be.
Like,
I'll say that the after taking my mask off, the gimmick change, kind of that I've
hmm
been transitioning through, it's been a little bit easier to get booked.
hmm
I guess, I was very niche character before
yeah,
and very like horror based, and you had to like that kind of stuff to really
yeah,
want to book me. So I hope these people who are booking me still understand I'm still scary.
yeah, totally. I'm frightened.
Don't know what to say.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it can be hard to get yourself out there. Yeah, and I'm still new. Like COVID happened and took a whole year out of my time
yeah.
wrestling. I've been wrestling for 3 years. I've really been wrestling for 2 years. So
Okay, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I'm still really just on trying to kind of grind and get my name out there in general.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to fill up my books for the year, slowly getting that going. Now I'll tell you, the weather right here in Texas right now is getting, I'm going to say crazy for Texans because it's
Okay.
snowing in Dallas. We've got like sleet here in Houston. So my next thing I have coming up is supposed to be a show on Saturday in Dallas at the Texas Independent Wrestling Expo, but that might not
Yeah.
happen.
Oh, that sucks. Everyone,
It
like, I
does.
haven't left my house in 3 days because of the weather, and I'm
Yeah,
in Illinois. So yeah, it's everyone. It's crazy.
they're
Um,
shutting down
did,
schools here and stuff for things that
oh
we would.
yeah, my kids have been home for 3 days. I'm going crazy. This was like my first interaction with an adult today. So I was like
There you
really
go.
like, all right, I just need to make it till 6:30. I just need to make it till 6:30. Um, all right. We have learned a lot today. We've learned about Leanne and Mark's love and affection for their daughter. We learned about your confidence. We learned about you getting in the ring for the first time and your creativity. I have some questions though for you. They're just yes or no questions, but they're not wrestling related. Can I ask those to you?
Yes.
Okay.
No. Yes.
Okay. Have you ever been given a document to read and then they told you to set it on fire or just destroy it?
Yes.
Really? Wow. Can you open a soda can with your mouth?
I would never.
Okay.
No.
For $260,000, would you eat a 7-pound pizza? Now, let me qualify this by saying you don't have to, you can take as long as you want to eat it, but it's got to be in one sitting.
I would do that for a lot less money. Yes.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
Okay. Do you frequent any mermaid or merman conventions?
No.
Okay. You're doing great. You're almost done. Have you ever sworn at a child?
Yes.
Can I know this? Can you tell us the circumstances of that?
Um,
I have two children and I hate children.
they
So
were being a
I
little
love hearing this.
shithead. Does that answer? It was
hmm
it was a child that was someone else's child that was out in public that was absolutely being terribly annoying, and
Yeah.
I may have called them a shithead.
You're only human, you
I
know?
am.
Like,
The
yeah,
parent wasn't
don't be
mad
too hard.
because their child was being a shithead, though. I'll say that. That was kind of awesome. I got so lucky because that parent was like, "Yeah, you're right."
You're right. I got a hold on, I gotta go take a dump from my 8-year-old. So that kind of threw me a little bit. Um, but whatever. Um, Sid, thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, this was like the highlight of my day, and it
Yay.
is. So I appreciate that, especially on a Thursday night, in the middle of terrible weather that you're having down in Texas
Yes,
and
sir.
Illinois for that matter. But anyways, um, give my best to Mark and Leanne, as always, of course. Tell them I will get them on one of these days. I'm working my way around it. But
Yeah.
until then, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and I wish you nothing but health and happiness in this 2022.
Thank you, Brad. I had a great time chatting with you. Hope to do it again.
Awesome. Take care, Seth.